say the annual meeting? Can you say it?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Barbara Colton, a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome. Welcome to MLUC this morning. A special welcome to all of our friends joining us online. If you're joining us for the first time, or the second, or the third, welcome to our community. This is a place where love and hope is at the center. Here we make space for healing and joy, for beauty and truth, for questions and reflection, and for sharing compassion. There's a lot always happening here at MLUC, so please be sure to check the back of your order of service and our new website regularly to see what is happening. Today, we will have our annual congregational meeting starting at 11:30 a.m. here in this room. The meeting is open to all, and we hope you'll all stay. There will be a light lunch, an interesting mix of food in the room across the hall after the service, and childcare will be available during the meeting. Members, please stop by the table in the atrium and pick up a green card, not that kind of green card, a colored green card. No citizenship is required, in order to vote and pick it up from one of the board members before the meeting. Our service today will be led by our Senior Minister, Reverend John Morehouse, our Director of Learning and Family Ministries, Dawn Star Sarahs-Borchelt, our Congregational Life Coordinator, Yvette McDonald, our Music Director, David Brown, on mandocello and another instrument, surprise instrument, along with Colum Bunderson on fiddle, and our worship associate today is Deborah McKnight. Now please join together in saying our mission statement. Together, we transform lives with love, service, and our welcoming faith.
Our chalice lighting today is The Abundance of Our Lives Together by Katie Savani Gelfand. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us. Would you now please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 1035, Freedom is Coming.
Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom, freedom is coming. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom, freedom is coming. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom. Freedom is coming. Oh, yes, I know. Oh, yes, I know. Oh, yes, I know. Oh, yes, I know. Freedom is coming. Oh, yes, I know. Oh, yes, I know. Oh, yes, I know. Freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom is coming. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Oh, yes, I know. Freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Freedom is coming. Oh, yes, yes, I know. Oh, 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 yes. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom is coming.
Thank you. There once was a beautiful and powerful tiger. One day she was captured by a mean and cruel man and put into a cage. The man kept her in a cage in the jungle not far from her house, and every day he would bring her a bowl of water and some food, but she was lonely. And sometimes the tiger would look at her own reflection in the bowl of water, and she would say, "My, I must be a beautiful tiger." But when the man heard her say this, he would lie and tell her, no, you're not a beautiful tiger. You're very ugly. You're a pitiful creature. And sadly, the tiger believed the man. Some days after she ate her food, she would walk back and forth in her small cage, and she felt energy and power moving through her body. And she would say, "My, I must be a powerful tiger." When the man heard her say that, he would lie and tell her, "No, you're weak and puny. You're a pitiful creature." And sadly, the tiger believed him. Then one day, when the man was nowhere around, a lion happened to walk by the cage. The lion saw the tiger inside and spoke it to her. "Beautiful and powerful tiger, what are you doing lying about in that cage?" "Don't make fun of me," replied the tiger. "I know that I'm neither beautiful nor powerful. "I'm not making fun of you," said the lion. "You are surely the most beautiful and powerful tiger I have ever seen. I am only surprised to see you lying here when you are clearly strong enough to break out of that cage." "You really think I could break out of here?" said the tiger. "Quite easily, I should think," said the lion. The tiger wasn't sure at first. She'd been told so many times that she was a weak and pitiful creature. But suddenly, it seemed that she could feel energy and strength moving through her body. She began to pace back and forth in her cage, and then almost without thinking about it, she leapt against the cage door and it flew open without any resistance. Once outside the cage, she was kind of dazed. "That cage didn't even have a lock on it," she said. "I spent so much of my life stuck in there and the door wasn't even locked." The lion looked at her and said with soft brown eyes, "Those kind of traps don't need locks, for it's the lies we believe that keep us in our cages, and it is truth that sets us free every time." I'd like to invite our children and youth to join me in the atrium, and we'll sort ourselves out.
Each month, we donate half of our collection to a worthy organization in need. For June, our offering outreach partner is People Advancing Reintegration Recycle Works, that is PAR Recycling. Here today to tell us about the important work accomplished by PAR Recycling is Dr. Barry Corbin. Doc, as he is known, was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in 2009 for wire fraud. He was released after 13 and a half years due to his exemplary behavior. During this time, while in Leavenworth, Doc spent 18 months in a Life Connections faith-based program, which allowed him to connect with his faith in a meaningful way. He received his doctorate in Christian counseling and divinity, and upon his release from prison in 2023, Doc began working for PAR Recycling Works as a recycling technician, and eventually was appointed to a full-time position as customer relationship manager at PAR Recycling. We are happy to have Doc here with us today to explain the work of PAR in his own life as well as in the Philadelphia community. Please welcome Doc.
Good morning. I'm really happy to be here in such an obviously warm and welcoming environment. It's a really special place you have here, and I'm glad to be here. Okay, what I basically would talk about is the organization I work for. It's a nonprofit. It's called PAR Recycle Works, and what we do is recycle end-of-life electronics, and we do it in a very responsible way. There's an accreditation that we're really proud of. It's called R2V3, fancy name, but it means Responsible Recycling Version 3. But what that means, importantly, is that no part of anything we process will ever end up in the landfill. And that's a huge task to reduce things down to there's no visible waste impact on the planet. And we also hire exclusively formerly incarcerated people, and we train them. It's transitional employment. So people come to us straight from prison most of the time, and we give them rather robust support and as well as employment, and then place them in even better employment permanently. And so that's, to me, it's just a win all the way around, right? An organization that helps the planet and, sustainability, and then also helps rebuild lives, which is a benefit to the individual and the community at large. And that's basically what we do. And I'm very, very, very gracious for, you're just choosing us.
To make a cashless donation, whether watching remotely or from here in the sanctuary, please follow the instructions on the screen or on the back page of the order of service. The offering will now be gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? At this time in the service, it is our custom to share personal joys and sorrows, expecting to be heard, accepted, and supported. As a community, we acknowledge each joy or sorrow by lighting a candle and saying together, "We hold you in our hearts." Steve Witt shares a sorrow for the loss of his beloved father, Aubrey Witt, after a long, courageous battle with Alzheimer's. He died peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by his family. He was 97. For Steve, his dad, and family, we hold you in our hearts. Tom and Betsy McElwain are excited to celebrate the recent graduation of their grandson, Benjamin. He graduated from Harriton High School, summa cum laude, and is a member of the Honor Society. Ben will depart soon for study in China and then return to attend Northeastern University in the fall. Ben will spend his first semester in Dublin and will major in mechanical engineering. For Ben, Tom, Betsy, and their family, we hold you in our hearts. And let us light one more candle for those of us with joys or sorrows too deep to say out loud. At this time, we hold you in our hearts.
Well, it's been a great pleasure to have Yvette McDonald on our staff, and I know that she's done so much for us already in Caring Ministries. Yeah, let's do that. I think so. But one program in particular, which she spent a lot of time working on, is the development of a lay chaplain program. And I'm going to have her explain a little bit about it and a little recognition for the chaplains as they have come this far in their training.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So here's the thing. Today we were supposed to do one thing, but we're going to pivot and do something else. I come from a culture where the party can't start until everyone is there. So even if the party was scheduled for 8 o'clock, it's not really going to get started until everyone shows up. And so with that in mind, we will not be doing what the order of service says. And Reverend John, shift. So I've been working really hard on the lay chaplaincy program. And 3 people, as you are aware, have been selected to participate with this program. And they have gone through about 12 hours of training. And today was the day that I was supposed to recognize them. But unfortunately, everyone is not here. So with that in mind, please know that today during the annual meeting, if you all have questions specific related to the lay chaplaincy program, I'm happy to answer them. But I'm going to hold on to this goodness and my excitement for just a little bit longer until everyone is able to arrive for the party. So with that, please accept that with some grace, and you will hear more a little bit later on.
Thank you, Colum. That was fabulous. Let's give him another round of applause. Really, thank you. Our music is in good hands into the future. It's good to see so many of you here this morning. I know it's been quite a week, huh? Quite a week in Los Angeles these days. A lot of folks very worried about what's happening. I have 2 kids who live in Washington, D.C. The tanks are amassing. The parade is coming. But it's a very scary thing. And in the midst of that fear and that uncertainty about our future, we here at MLUC need to carve out a special place for joy that acts as resistance to the calamities of the world around us, that gives us strength, the strength of an abundance that knows that we can handle what's coming because others have handled such things in the past as well. Many years ago, I met someone who had this same spirit. Her name was Judith. Her face was careworn and her voice was very soft. She had one time been the heiress of immense fortune, a great deal of money from a food business that had started 5 generations before her. And it seemed at that time that the only job that she had and her sister and brother had was to manage this immense fortune, to protect it, to hand it down to the next generation, instead of using it to free people, instead of using it to change the world. The only problem with that kind of a mission, as in with anything that is not abundant, is that it's a non-freedom. It's something that eats away at you. It ate away at her family. She had seen her grandparents and her parents struggle with addiction. She had seen aunts and uncles die from alcohol. The truth was that far from freeing her family, this fortune was imprisoning them. Because sometimes the very rich assume that the entire world is out to get their money. And so they become, if not miserly or even thrifty, they become deeply suspicious of any cause or anyone who might want to have that money, perhaps even to change lives. They did not share the money with those in need, not beyond what their tax accountants told them they needed to give away. And they did not share their ample time, which they had because they did not work for a living other than managing this vast fortune. What we know now, of course, is that fear is the ultimate killer, no matter where it comes from. The fear that people have what's happening with our government, and the fear of the rich, and the fear of those who are disempowered, and those who are marginalized and in danger. But something happened to Judith along the way. She had a bit of a revelation. She realized that this was killing her. And so she decided what she would do was she would take on one cause that she knew she could do something about. And that was the cause of housing for those who were housing insecure. The lack of affordable housing in America is truly, truly horrific. Despite state laws in many progressive states that are supposed to make sure there's affordable housing, there is often not affordable housing because the baseline of what affordable is keeps going up and up, right? And the irony is that in blue cities, homelessness is at an all-time high because of the prosperity that those cities have engendered and the laws they have created to protect that prosperity. The people who need the housing cannot afford it. The real solution to housing and to homelessness is more housing. It's not complicated, but it needs to be affordable housing. And this is where Judith saw she could insert herself. So she joined an organization, a coalition of organizations, and she backed her joining with millions of dollars. And today, there are people who are no longer on the street, sleeping in their vehicles, or on friends' couches, but actually in affordable housing because of the work that Judith and her sister, who joined her, did. But the rest of the family shunned her. They thought she was crazy. What is she doing giving all this away? What she discovered is that there's a freedom in abundance, and there's a freedom that comes with an abundant spirit. What she realized was the abundance was killing her and her family. And I start with that story because it illustrates a great spiritual truth. Scarcity, which is based in fear, is real for many, but not real for others. And where it's not real, it becomes a soul killer. Almost all of us in this room, I would say, believe that there's only so much money to go around. You believe that? I mean, most of us believe there's only so much money to go around. And yet the funny thing about it, and I'm told I can be a little new age at times about these sort of things, the funny thing about it is if you give your money away, it usually comes back. I've seen this happen so many times, and I've seen it happen in my own life. Lynn Twist, who's a wonderful author, wrote a book called The Soul of Money. And she says, if we allow the culture of money to shut down our hearts and close off access to our souls, and to drive us in such a way that our behavior undermines the values which we hold dear, we are eroding the very center of who we are. When Judith died, she gave away all she had to the cause that she worked so hard in the later life to work on. And I know that there is an abundance within us in this congregation. You have shown it, friends, and you should be very proud of that. Last year, we raised about $630,000 in pledges. This year, I am certain now we will reach $750,000 in pledges, and that is amazing. That money not only runs this place and pays your staff, but that money makes missions outside of these walls possible, such as we're going to be doing this fall when we deal with the issues of housing insecurity, such as we did this spring around issues of environmental justice and biodiversity. I wasn't always who I am now. I'm a pretty generous guy. I even thought I was generous when I was young, and not even close, actually. I was always worried about money. I always thought I didn't have enough, and I was an entrepreneur early on. I had a company when I was in my 20s. We were making money, but it was never enough money. There always had to be more money. That was until I met Frances. Some of you know Frances. She lives by a philosophy that I was introduced to the first day we were together. She says, money flows in and money flows out, and we direct the money where it is needed most. It's a simple philosophy, but it's not rooted in counting where that's going to come from, as much as it is being sure that we keep our hearts open to what we have and what we're able to give. And I can say, humbly, I think, as humble as I can be, that we've helped hundreds of people because of that. That philosophy, that abundance, which I believe is in the hearts of all of us, could set all of us free and could make the difference of life and death to those who are finding their way into our doors, perhaps today, and those outside of our doors who so badly need what we have to offer, where we can take this little bit of joy, this little bit of help, this little bit of love that is at the center of our mission and our faith, and we can do something with it. And we are doing something with it. I used to lose sleep over the pledge drive. Do you know that? I don't lose sleep anymore, not over that anyway. I have other things to lose sleep over. We are not going to have to worry about who we are, but we are going to have to apply what we have to the world that's out there. Timothy Snyder is a wonderful author, a philosopher, He wrote a book not long ago entitled On Freedom, and he said there's a difference between freedom from and freedom to. Most of us live worrying about freedom from. As I was looking at the headlines today and the National Guard being called into Los Angeles, I was in the freedom from. We need to be free from that kind of tyranny. But that's not enough. That's not enough. That's a negative freedom. We need a positive freedom. We need a freedom to do things. Can you hear me? The Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh said, there is a freedom that comes from the abundant heart, and it is not easily explained, he said. This freedom may start as a freedom from childhood habits or freedom from childhood fears, but it needs to move to be a freedom open to the love that's enfolding us and the truth that does reside in our hearts. This is the freedom, deep inside, that opens when we give. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the second time they invaded, all the pundits thought that the Ukrainian President Zelensky would go into exile and Ukraine would fall in a matter of days, if not hours. You remember this? But that's not what happened. Zelensky stayed in Kiev, and he's led his people through the horrors of war. He's led his people through great hardship. He's led his people through an interview in the Oval Office with Trump. God help us. And he's done that with a fierce optimism and hope. And he did this because, in his words, freedom is not just about having getting our hands unshackled. Freedom is about more than just unshackling our hands, but unshackling our minds. It's not enough to want freedom from Russia, he said. We want freedom to be free, to determine our lives, to raise our children, to create a future. It's not about what we are unable to change in our past, but about what we are able to do in our future. And that is something that I think a lot of politicians didn't understand. His desire for freedom to become something was more than a freedom from something. That's the abundance I'm talking about. And of course, here at MLUC, we're seeing this happen in real time. Just last Music Sunday, how about that Music Sunday, huh? I got to tell you, David, I didn't think we'd stay for 4 hours of music, but we did. It was amazing. And someone who hadn't been here in years walks in the door, and she comes up to me and she introduces herself to me and she says, "What happened? I haven't been here in 3 years. What happened? This place is packed. This place is packed. There's energy all over the place." And I said, you know, what happened was we set the ministry free. We decided that we weren't going to be subject to our past, that we weren't going to let that define who we are. And we decided that we are more than the troubles of the world, and that we need to be the antidote to the world as it is right now. Someone said to me not long ago, so what you're doing there is providing a distraction. They don't come to this church. And I said, no, it might be that for some people, but I actually think of it as soul work. They were opening the heart to what really matters. After all, if we're going to go out there into the streets, and we very well may need to very soon go more into the streets than we are now, we need to do that with a heart that knows that we want a freedom to become something more than what we are now. Can you hear me? There are more people of goodwill in this country by far than there are those who would do us ill. There's an abundance that comes from a national spirit as well as the spirit of this congregation. I don't often quote David Brooks from the New York Times, who now seems to be liberal by any other standard, but he did have this to say. He said, America is not only a homeland, it's an idea. It's a moral cause. America stands for a set of universal principles, principles that we are created equal, that we're endowed with inalienable rights, that democracy is the form of government that best recognizes the human dignity of all of us. And he recognized that we've fallen incredibly short, and we have so much more to go. But then he held up what he calls one form of nationalism over another. We hear a lot about the nationalism that's going on in the world. The populism, I hate that phrase. What's populist about this? There's nothing populist about sending the National Guard into Los Angeles, or a president that calls the governor news scum. There's nothing about that's a populist. What he said is, the real populism is the aspirational nationalism of a people that ranges from Abraham Lincoln to FDR to even Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who emphasize that America is not only a land, but is also founded to embody and spread the ideals expressed in the Declaration of Independence and the Gettysburg Address. Donald Trump was asked not long ago what he thought the Declaration of Independence was about. He said, oh, it's about unity and love, and no, that's actually not what it's about. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of revolution and rebellion. And it holds up ideals that we strive for and have yet to achieve by far, but ideals that make us who we are. My beloveds, we are unapologetically progressive, and I hold that as a badge of honor. I don't even use the word liberal anymore. I just say we're progressive. We're progressive spiritually, and we're progressive in terms of the action we take. We want to see a world that is better than the world that we live in right now. That is the freedom, too, that we are striving for. That's why I'm encouraging everyone here today, if you have time, next Saturday, to come out for the many protests that are out there for the No King Day. We got to respond. We've got to respond. This is also Pride Month. This is Pride Month, that we as Unitarian Universalists and all progressively minded spiritual people need to be standing out there for pride, because I just read this morning that the Southern Baptist Convention has voted to dismantle marriage equality in this country. We have a job to do, don't we? And we're going to do that. It's not always possible to lean into abundance, friends. I understand that. I understand that sometimes our lives are just totally overwhelming. Yes, absolutely. If you can't go there, you can't go there. Don't. Come, be strengthened for the days ahead. But if you can, I'm urging you to be out there. We're going to need to be out there. You see, our love that stands at the center of all we do is nestled in this valley between protests on one hand and joy on the other. And that's where we have to be. We have to be in tension between those two. If we want to stop the assaults on poor people, if we want to stop the assaults on queer people, if we want to stop the assaults on people of color, if we want to stop the assaults on truth, we have to be out there. On good days, I look around from my beautiful perch at the parsonage, and I turn to Francis and I say, where are we? There's deer floating in the park. It's like out of some Victorian novel, so bucolic, sublime. But then I remember that that's a reminder that abundance is all around us. It's all around us. It's in the nature that we see. It's in the beauty of this room that was built by people that came before us. It's in your hearts, it's in your family, it's in love wherever you can find it. And we live in a sheer amazing world, this diversity, this dazzling diversity, despite what politics may say, is the reality we live in. People ask me sometimes, they say, John, what would you call yourself, theologically? How do you describe yourself? It's a common question ministers ask one another. And these days, I've landed on, I'm an enchanted agnostic with mystical tendencies. Because I'm not sure, but I like the idea that I'm not sure, and maybe there's something more. I know there's something more. I'm going to find that something. But as my friend Tom Owen Toll said, I also believe that we are all free-thinking mystics with hands. And that's where I want us to be. I'm going to close with something joyful, a reminder of what we really are here to do. And this is a video from the UU songwriter Peter Mayer, who made the best case I know for celebrating the freedom of abundance that is ours to create in this beautiful world. Let's watch the video.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. And he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Amen. Let's join together in the closing hymn, number 324, Where My Free Spirit Onward Leads. Please rise in body or spirit.
Where my free spirit onward leads, where there shall be my way. But my own light illumined, I have journeyed night and day. My age a time-worn cloak I wear, as once I wore my I celebrate life's mystery, I celebrate death's truth. My family is not confined to mother, mate, and child, but in it includes all creatures, be they or be they wild. My family upon this earth includes all living things, on land or in the ocean deep, or born aloft on wings. The ever-spinning universe, where there shall be my home. I sing and spin within it, as though this life I roam. Eternity is hard to get, and harder still is this. A human life, when truly seen, is briefer than
May the nourishment of the earth be yours, my friends. May the charity and the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of one another be yours. And may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to help you mind your life. For now the service truly begins. Please be seated for the postlude.